For millennia, we, the mass population, have been subjected to the deletion of human history, the destruction of humanity's written texts, the poisoning of our water, the pollution of our air through acts of airborne poisoning, as seen by Freedom of Information documents released proving the experimentation upon unknowing citizens of the USA, UK, and I suspect many other countries. We have endured the effects of fluoridization of our drinking water, the chemical attacks on our food chain, and the current efforts to inject poisons into our children, which, despite the evidence, is being made law in certain areas as we speak. Add to this the latest attack on our biological systems with the untested introduction of 5G, and we get an overall picture of just how deliberate and sustained the attack on our eco and biological systems actually are. If you also consider the somewhat more subtle efforts to herd us like cattle into ever smaller areas of urban decay while usurping more and more open land, designating them as national parks, which effectively leaves an ever dwindling area for settlements, you really see how the overall picture begins to reveal itself. Given the amount of toxic substances injected one way or another into our eco, biological and psychological systems, and the ongoing efforts to pollute the electromagnetic system of our world, altering the very frequencies which sustains biological life in the first place, the idea of invasion and terraforming seems to become more apparent. Are we to believe something as basic as greed is the sole driver for the destruction of almost every aspect of our lives? Surely even the greedy know not to cut off the nose to spite their face. It's completely illogical. The rumours of population reduction at all costs, when looked logically, has no basis in reality. Given the population of the planet at the moment, which is around 7.2 billion, the inhabitable landmass we have available would allow for 10 billion more to live on an area that each would have over 2,000 square metres without encroaching on each other's land. And yet we are being told we are overpopulated, when in reality we are being pushed into ever smaller urban areas to give the impression of that fable being true. These may well be the acts of other humans, but what if we add the restrictions of Antarctica to the mix, in addition to the areas already mentioned? Does it not raise questions in your mind that this is the only area off limits to the masses, and upon which those who are publicly driving these changes, namely world leaders or people in positions of power to force such changes, have made pilgrimages to? For those of you who are unaware of such visitations to Antarctica, let me give you a list of some of what we know, and I suspect many others have also gone there, which are off the books, as it were. So here's a very quick run through of some of the people we know of that's on the books, as it were, in the public domain that visited Antarctica. John Kerry, obviously Secretary of State at the time, on a frozen section near Ross Sea Shelf. So we've got John Kerry. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Head of the Russian Orthodox Church. I'm going to come back to this particular visit because I find it very, very interesting. And obviously, as you can see there, visits his flock. So I had no idea that penguins were also members of the Russian Orthodox Church. But there you go. Learn something every day. Our next one, the famous actor Tom Hanks visited the Orthodox Church of the life-giving Trinity in Antarctica at the Russian Polar Station. And then we've obviously got the famous visit from Buzz Aldrin, and it says he's medically evacuated from Antarctica. Well, being 86, 87 years old, it's hardly surprising. But we've also got his famous tweet, "We're all in trouble, there's something evil down there," or words to that effect. So we've got Buzz Aldrin. Then we've got the Governor General visits Australian territory. We've also got, this one is talking about sending the Smithsonian and also sending the Harvard University professors down there, but to be honest with you, hardly surprising if it's going to be a science expedition. Then we've also got, this one is talking about Obama and his director of CIA James Clapper. I'm just wondering what the intelligence services are doing down on the South Pole. Those are just the few I've pulled up on the web pages, and I'll give you a quick list of some of the additional ones. So in addition, we have Prince Harry of Great Britain representing the royal family, King Juan Carlos of Spain, because apparently he wanted to go see it for himself. And let us not forget, dating back to before these visits, the German high-ranking officials such as Rudolf Hess, who sponsored the 1938-39 Nazi expedition, and Hermann Goering, who sponsored again the same expedition. Now, this could all be coincidence, and that simply curiosity plays a major role in all these visits. To my mind, I do not believe in such coincidences. This particular visit has with it some interesting, if not outlandish, reports attached to it. So now let's pop over to those reports and find out about the Ark of Gabriel. So the first of these reports is on a website called whatdoesitmean.com, and it begins: a mind-boggling report circulating in the Kremlin today, prepared by the Ministry of Defense, states that the sudden launching yesterday by aerospace forces of 2 satellites are for the protection of the Federation naval research vessel, the Admiral Valinsky, which has just departed the Saudi Arabian port of Jeddah after taking on board a mysterious object described as the Ark of Gabriel, whose importance is deemed so vital that President Putin has further ordered naval warships, guided missile cruiser Vayrag, and the Sovereign-class destroyer Berestri, Boris Chiklin-class fleet and other Boris Butoma, and a powerful salvage tug Atalantu. They are to rendezvous with the Admiral Valinsky in the Southern Ocean, providing it protection as it sails to Antarctica. According to this report, the unprecedented mission being undertaken by the Admiral Valinsky research vessel began on November the 6th when it departed from Kronstadt on the Federation's first Antarctic expedition in 30 years, and described by the MOD as having such critical military/religious significance. Its cargo includes capsules with Russian soil, which will be placed in areas of military glory and burial sites of Russian sailors at select ports of call. To what spurred this astounding mission, this report explains, was the contacting of the 25th of September of His Holiness Patriarch Kirill of Moscow by representatives of the custodian of the 2 holy mosques in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, regarding a mysterious, and it quotes here, ancient device/weapon discovered under the Masjid al-Haram Mosque, or Grand Mosque, during what has turned into a very controversial construction project began in 2014. Gravely arising the concerns of the Grand Mosque emissaries, this report continues that when this mysterious device/weapon was uncovered on September 12th by a 15-man tunnel digging crew, who in their attempts to remove it were instantly killed by a massive plasma emission so powerful it ejected from the ground, toppling a construction crane, killing at least another 107 people. Catastrophically worse, this report notes that it was barely a fortnight after the first attempt to remove this mysterious device or weapon was made on September 12th. Another attempt was made on the 24th, which killed over 4,000. Due to another massive plasma emission which put tens of thousands in panic, but which the Saudi officials then blamed on a stampede. So you can see here the construction, or some might have you believe they're looking for something, seriously looking for something, and this is supposed to be the September 12th plasma emission over the Grand Mosque. My opinion, I have no idea whether that plasma or that lightning strike is going up or down. It looks like a storm to me, but again, I could be wrong. But you make of it what you will. And again, excuse the sight of this image for those of you who are a little bit sensitive. The aftermath of 24th of September plasma emission over the Grand Mosque. These people were some of the victims, and you've got clearly here you've got safety or emergency services personnel there and someone walking through them. After the catastrophic death toll, which let me just move that horrible image out of the way for a second. After the catastrophic death toll involved with Saudi's second attempt to remove this mysterious device, this report says His Holiness Patriarch Kirill was then contacted by the Grand Mosque emissaries in regards to one of the oldest Islamic manuscripts possessed by the Russian Orthodox Church. that it was saved from the Roman Catholic Crusaders in 1204 when they sacked the Church of Holy Wisdom, now known as Hagia Sophia in Constantinople and present-day Istanbul in Turkey, titled Gabriel's Instructions to Muhammad. As to the contents of the ancient Islamic manuscript, Gabriel's Instructions to Muhammad, this report briefly notes it centers around a group of instructions given to Muhammad by the angel Gabriel in a cave called Hira, located in the mountains called Jabal an-Nur near Mecca, wherein this heavenly being entrusted into Muhammad's care the box or / ark of immense power. He was forbidden to use it, belonged to God only, and was instead to be buried in a shrine at the place of worship the angels used before the creation of man, until its future uncovering, the day of resurrection. Through this, MOD reports mentions virtually nothing about the conversations held between His Holiness Patriarch Kirill and the emissaries of the Grand Mosque in regards to this mysterious device. It does stunningly acknowledge that when President Putin was first informed about this grave situation on September 27th, he not only immediately ordered the mission to Antarctica for Admiral Volovsky's research vessel, but he also further ordered 3 days later, on 30th, aerospace forces to begin bombing Islamic State terrorist targets in Syria. I'm not sure where the connection is there. You'll have to forgive my naivety on that. But that gives you a piece of background on the Ark of Gabriel and what I'm talking about. Now, on the same site, having delivered this Ark of Gabriel to the Antarctica, it continues on to say, which is why this guy apparently was there, because he's going to do some sort of ceremony. In what we can only conclude is one of the most bizarre reports ever circulated in the Kremlin, the Ministry of Defense is reporting today that the global leader of the Russian Orthodox Church, Patriarch Kirill of Moscow, arrived in Antarctica earlier today, where he joined up with the vast Federation naval armada transporting from Saudi Arabia the mysterious Ark of Gabriel, entrusted to Russia's care by the custodians of the two holy mosques, and performed an ancient ritual. Over it read from a secret text given to him by Pope Francis, just days prior in Cuba, when the leaders of the Christian two top sects met for the first time in nearly 1,000 years. And you can see the image there. Again, the patriarch is talking to his penguin flock. I'm still totally amazed about that, but there you go. And this is dated 18th of February 2016. It goes on to say, according to this report, which we had previously reported in our December 6th issue, the Russia begins transport of Saudi Arabia's mysterious Ark of Gabriel to Antarctica. I'm not going to read this bit again because obviously it's repeating that and it shows us the same images. So he went down there, and this is Pope Francis and the Patriarch Kirill meeting in Cuba on the 12th of February 2016, and many say it was a front for handing over the text pertaining to the Ark of Gabriel, which for me kind of confirms even more the amount of historical secret texts these people have filed away from the masses is literally criminal. But again, that's just my opinion. Let's just conclude this little bit. Though the exact nature of the talks between Patriarch Kirill and Pope Francis remains classified at much higher level than we're granted access to, the MOD analysis in the reports do state that an ancient secret manuscript was given to Patriarch Kirill by Pope Francis that pertains to the Ark of Gabriel, whose legend behind it claims it was written directly by the Watchers, or angels, described in the Book of Enoch. And it goes on to say, and just hours ago this report concludes that Patriarch Kirill, while using this secret text given to him by Pope Francis, performed an ancient ritual over the Ark of Gabriel in the Russian Orthodox Holy Trinity Church. And it goes on to say it's the only church in Antarctica, and where immediately thereafter this mysterious artifact was transported into the vast interior of this cold and foreboding continent by a highly specialized Spetsnaz Special Forces unit to a destination and purpose not identified by the MOD. So, as you can see here, maybe those entities living down in Antarctica, who all of the other famous people and the not so famous have visited, basically wanted their gear back now that it's been uncovered, because it doesn't belong to humanity. So let's move on. And whether or not that you believe both of those reports or none of those reports, I'm going to leave that entirely up to you. But it does seem to add a little bit of weight to some of the mysterious things that are going down in Antarctica, and adds even more weight to the idea that we're being slowly taken over as opposed to an overt invasion as Hollywood would have us believe.